Hello, welcome back. Today I'm making two custom laser cut lamps in my workshop using a 130 watt CO laser. Both projects use layered construction with painted MDF, acrylic, and LED lighting, but they approach light in very different ways. This video isn't about decoration, it's about material behavior, light control, and fabrication decisions tested in real conditions. So for first layer, I'm using settings. Speed 23 millimeters, yes. Power, 70%. The first lamp is built using painted MDF for the outer layers, combined with frosted acrylic and LED lighting in the center. MDF is chosen here for a reason. It cuts very consistently on a CO laser, has no internal grain direction, and provides a clean, uniform surface after painting. In other words, it behaves exactly the way wood never promises to. MDF doesn't look natural. That's why it behaves naturally in CAD. All MDF parts are laser cut first, focusing on edge consistency and precise fit between layers. Compared to plywood, MDF offers predictable cutting results, but it introduces its own challenges, mainly smoke residue and edge darkening. These aren't defects. They're just reminders that laser cutting is still a thermal process. After cutting, the MDF layers are prepared and painted to achieve a uniform finish and to seal the surface. This also helps reduce light bleed and improves the final visual contrast once the lamp is illuminated. MDF cuts perfectly, it just leaves evidence. After laser cutting, the MDF parts are cleaned before any finishing steps. Laser cutting MDF leaves a combination of smoke residue, resin deposits, and fine surface contamination, especially along the cut edges. To remove this, I wipe the cut surfaces using acetone, applied sparingly with a cloth. The goal isn't aggressive cleaning, just enough solvent to remove residue and leave a neutral surface for painting and assembly. Acetone evaporates quickly, which makes it practical in a workshop environment, but it also means you have to work deliberately. Too much solvent doesn't improve the result, it just moves the residue around faster. Acetone solves many problems. It also creates new ones if you stop paying attention. Behind the painted MDF front layer sits a sheet of frosted acrylic, used exclusively for light diffusion. Its role is simple, to turn a row of LEDs into a single, continuous light source. The acrylic is cut with adjusted speed and power to avoid melting and edge distortion. Acrylic reacts quickly to heat and remembers every mistake permanently. Once the MDF parts are cleaned and finished, the frosted acrylic layer is glued to the back of the front MDF panel. Alignment matters here. The acrylic needs to sit perfectly flat against the MDF to avoid internal shadows or uneven light diffusion later on. After applying adhesive, the layers are pressed together and left to cure. For clamping pressure, I use what's readily available in the workshop, my gym weight plates. They provide even, consistent pressure across the surface and, unlike clamps, they never complain. These aren't structural loads, just passive resistance training for acrylic. The weight keeps the layers flat while the adhesive sets, ensuring full contact between MDF and acrylic without introducing stress or distortion. It's a simple solution, but it works reliably, which is usually the best kind of solution. The LED strip is mounted behind the acrylic with controlled spacing to prevent visible hotspots. A rear MDF layer closes the assembly, providing structural rigidity and controlling unwanted light spill. MDF works particularly well here because it blocks light completely once painted, making it ideal for enclosing illuminated assemblies. When powered on, the combination of painted MDF and frosted acrylic produces a controlled, even glow with clean edges and no visible electronics. If you can see the LEDs, the design isn't finished yet. Now we glue the back layer to the lamp. Do you think about how much glue I use per year? Yes, a lot.
One eternity later.
Once the main acrylic layer is fixed in place, I start adding the small acrylic details that bring the image together. These elements are cut separately and glued onto the surface of the acrylic. Their purpose isn't decoration, it's visual definition. Each small piece changes how light passes through the panel, adding depth, contrast, and separation between shapes. Without these details, the image looks flat. With them, the light starts behaving more like an image and less like a graphic. Placement is critical here. Even small alignment errors become very visible once the lamp is switched on, because light is extremely honest about mistakes. At this stage, millimeters stop being a measurement and start being a problem. The details are glued one by one, with light pressure, allowing the adhesive to set without shifting the parts. This step takes time, but it's what turns a laser-cut panel into something that actually reads as a picture. Once the lamp is fully assembled, the LED system is tested and configured. The LED strip is controlled using a remote, which allows changing colors, brightness, and lighting modes depending on the environment. This isn't just for aesthetics. Different colors and brightness levels affect how the layered materials interact with light, especially through frosted acrylic and engraved details. White light highlights geometry and edge quality. Warmer tones soften the image. Saturated colors emphasize contrast and depth in the engraved and layered elements. The remote doesn't add features, it adds decisions. From a design perspective, this makes the lamp adaptable rather than fixed. One build, multiple visual outcomes, without changing the physical construction. In the second half of the video, I switched to a different lighting concept. This lamp is based on laser engraved acrylic that glows in the dark after being exposed to light. Before engraving the acrylic, I first make a laser cut positioning box. The purpose of this box is simple: to place the acrylic sheet in exactly the same position every time. When engraving details that need to line up perfectly, manual alignment isn't precise enough, especially if the panel is removed and placed back on the bed. With the positioning box in place, the acrylic panel is engraved. The engraving depth is controlled by adjusting laser power and speed, balancing detail clarity against light scattering. Too shallow, and the glow effect is weak. Too deep, and the image loses sharpness. The laser does exactly what it's told, with no awareness of whether the settings were a good idea. That part is still my responsibility. The laser is precise, the operator is experimental. After engraving, the acrylic is cleaned before any testing or assembly. Laser engraving leaves behind fine dust, residue, and surface contamination, which can soften details and affect how the glow material behaves in low light. I clean the panel in stages, using different cleaning agents for different types of residue, starting gentle and only getting more aggressive if needed. The goal isn't to polish the surface, but to restore optical clarity without damaging the engraved areas. Acrylic is unforgiving here. It looks solid, but it reacts immediately to the wrong chemical or too much pressure. Acrylic isn't fragile, it just has very strong opinions about solvents. Once cleaned, the engraved details appear sharper, and the glow effect becomes more consistent across the surface. This step doesn't add anything visually on its own, but skipping it guarantees that something will look wrong later. With the lamp fully assembled, it's time for testing. The LED system is powered on and controlled using a remote, which allows changing colors, brightness levels, and lighting modes. This step isn't just about visual effect. Different colors interact differently with engraved acrylic and layered materials, revealing details that aren't visible under a single light setting. White light shows engraving sharpness and alignment accuracy. Colored light emphasizes depth and contrast. Lower brightness highlights diffusion quality and any unwanted light artifacts. The remote doesn't improve the design, it just removes excuses. Testing multiple settings helps verify that the lamp behaves consistently, regardless of color or brightness. If the design works under all lighting modes, it usually means the fundamentals, alignment, engraving depth, and material choice are correct. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy practical laser projects and controlled experimentation, consider subscribing. More builds are coming, and the materials will continue to have opinions.